Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Details of Life. I am your host, Marcus Wilson, and thank you for tuning in once again. We have a great podcast coming up right now with one of the all-time SLU greats, Dwayne Evans. You know, one of the benefits, and there aren't very many benefits to the COVID-19 pandemic going on, but one of them is I'm able to access more people across the country and across the world. Normally, I like to do my things in person, but this has forced us to do social distancing. And so you guys probably expect me to come with the webcam video interview, and that's what I'm doing. And so I've been able to reach more people. I have a couple more podcasts coming up that are such like this through webcam, but you still get the same experience having people come on telling the details of their life that has made them successful. And so Dwayne Evans from Chicago, well, a suburb of Chicago, Naperville, Illinois, which is also home to Candace and Anthony Parker, some other ballers. So Naperville has produced some good talent over the years, but Dwayne's from Naperville, Chicago area, and obviously signed with SLU, made a big impact right away, 8.5 points, 6.5 rebounds his freshman year, and continued to improve. And by the time he was a junior, he was first team all conference. Senior year was first team all conference, averaged 14.5 points and 6.5 rebounds a game. And it really doesn't do his game justice because, you know, we were such a defensive oriented team his senior year that there were games we were winning. A lot of games where we were winning, only scoring 65 points or so. So he and Jordan were carrying a lot of the load offensively. Now, it wasn't just them. We had a great team, it was a really team effort in how we won. But those two were obviously our stars and the guys that carried the load. And so, you know, the thing that's unique about Dwayne is, you know, he's one of those guys that off the court, he's kind of soft-spoken, very polite, very well-mannered. And then you get him on the court, and he just transforms. It's almost like Clark Kent to Superman, except he's a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? He gets in your face and he competes. And I think that's one of the reasons that team, when they were seniors and even juniors, and that team all around was very, very good. They were competitors. They hated to lose, and they were dogs. They would fight you to the end to try to win. And so, you know, but I respect that about Dwayne, that he had that in him. And then he also was a great student athlete. You know, his senior year, he was nominated for the Senior Class Award, which is an award given to the senior best student athlete, senior basketball player in Division I. You know, past recipients are Shane Battier, Tyler Hansborough. I think the year that Dwayne was nominated, I believe that Doug McDermott won it. So some hoopers, and he was amongst those type of guys as a student athlete and a high level player as well. So it was good to catch up with Dwayne. And, you know, I will say, like, when I first got to SLU, you know, the guys were a little bit standoffish of me at first because they knew that I had played for Coach Cruz. Coach Cruz, this was going to be his first full season taking over after Majerus had unfortunately passed in midway during the previous season. So when I came in, I think they were looking at me like, Coach Cruz brought him in to be a spy. That's his guy, which, you know, I do respect Coach Cruz, but I was there to be the liaison between him and the guys, and obviously do my job as video coordinator and be a basketball coach. But you know, it took a while for them to warm up, and then eventually the trust was built, and they really embraced me. So I thank them for that. And, you know, we have we still stay in touch, and we have great relationships with all those guys. I do. And so catching up with Dwayne was awesome. We're going to get right into that. We talked about his time at SLU, some of the great memories he has there. Talked about Coach Majerus, talked about his pro career, where he's been since he graduated. And then obviously he's now in Italy and under lockdown and quarantine in Italy right now. And so got a lot of good stories to tell. So continue watching. And without further ado, let's listen to Dwayne Evans. All right, today's guest is Dwayne Evans, former SLU star. And as I prefaced in the intro, is currently playing professional ball in Italy. So first and foremost, Dwayne, thanks for coming on. But how are you doing? Are you safe? Are you healthy right now?
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I'm safe. All is good here. Really just trying to stay busy, staying in the house, and trying to avoid the virus.
I hear you, man. I hear you. So we'll get into more of that a little bit later. But right now, I really want to take it back to your SLU days, because I know there's a lot of SLU fans that probably want to hear from you. You had a lot of individual and team success while at SLU. Two-time first-team all-conference A-10 player, A-10 title, multiple NCAA tournament appearances. Had one of the best comebacks in NCAA history, being down 16 with 8 minutes to go at NC State. I was lucky enough to be there as a part of that. But what are some of your favorite memories of your time while you were playing at SLU?
Yeah, I mean, some of the ones you just listed for sure. I think the game we had a home game against Butler when they were ranked like number 7, 8 in the country
Yep.
in conference. So that was a great win. Storm the court. We had a win against VCU at home, which was, I think they were top 10, 15 team at the time too. It was crazy. And probably just winning the A10 tournament, getting A10 MVP. I think that was my junior year. That was a great experience too.
Yeah. Man, you had a lot of great experiences there because, like I said, y'all were ultra successful, all-time winningest class as in SLU history. So you played for Coach Majerus. That's who recruited you. He's a legend for a lot of different reasons. And your 2012-13 team, when you were a junior, had to go through losing him as a head coach. And I know some teams have had their coach fired midseason. Very few have had their coach pass away during the season. What was that like for you and as a team? How did you guys handle that?
Yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't even really put into words. I don't think anyone on the team had any idea the whole summer. So it was not until maybe a couple of days before, he got really sick and passed away that we were, fully knowledgeable about the situation at all. So just to come back to SLU after the funeral and everything and just sit there and look at each other like, okay, what now? We've been building this whole thing for the last 2-3 years. How can we keep this going as Majerus would have wanted?
Yeah, definitely, man. I've heard some crazy stories about Coach Majerus. Is some of his eating. Do you have any stories, PG stories that you can tell?
The eating thing's for sure true. My first 2 years at SLU, like every time we were on the road, he would take us out to dinner. We would go to some nice restaurant. I remember we went to Jerome Bettis's place and got to order whatever we wanted. If he was eating, we were all going to eat good. So that was great. And then he was nuts, man. Like he loved basketball so much. It was crazy. I remember we had like a period where, coaches couldn't be in practice. They couldn't, watch or, coach individual sessions. So he would like get a stool and sit right outside the gym, like staring through the window and like cracking the door and like yelling and basically coaching the whole practice. It's just trying to avoid like the administration. He closed the door and act like he wasn't doing anything.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I've heard about some of his trips over to the Fountain. For anybody who's close to SLU knows the ice cream parlor over there. And from what I hear, from what I've heard from you guys and others, is he just had a unique ability to be very, very hard on you on the court. But then once you stepped off the court, he was just, a regular guy and made you feel like, he really cared for you guys. And a lot of coaches just don't have that. Man, so after college, and I remember talking to you during this time, but I would like to, there's a lot of people that retire or guys who get hurt and they go through this phase. In college, you were signing autographs. Everywhere you went in St. Louis, people knew who you were. You were the big man on campus. Then that next year, you couldn't play because you had a knee injury that was still existing from your senior year. So what was that like going from being the man, signing autographs, doing all this stuff, to just not being able to play all of a sudden and seeing all these guys that you used to kill just last year signing in Europe, playing in the NBA? What was that like during that year off?
At the beginning, I was angry. I had all these dreams, aspirations. I just graduated. I was like, okay, this is my shot. I'm going to get some NBA workouts, go play overseas, do whatever, the case may be. And obviously that's not how it worked out. So angry to start with. And then I was humbled for the next, 10 months. I ended up working as a janitor at the local, park district, mopping up, cleaning up stuff, which was actually really, really a great experience looking back on it now. But it was different. It made me have a whole new love for the game for sure. And now I don't take anything for granted.
Man, I can attest to that. I remember something you told me. I was talking to you that year. I was like, "How you doing?" And you was like, "Man, it's just tough because I went from this to now I'm just some black dude with a mohawk." You know what I'm saying? Like no one knew who you were. You were back up in Chicago, and it was just that is a transition. When I got done playing professionally in Europe, I came back to Atlanta, and I couldn't get a job. No one cared that I played professionally over there, and I also had to get a job at a car wash just to get my resume built up and kill some time. And you're right, it is really humbling. So when you do bounce back, man, you appreciate those moments even more. And like the champion that you are, you did bounce back in a big way, and you're playing in some top leagues. So let the people know, once you did come back, your journey to where you're at now, some of the places you've played.
Yeah, so once I got back into playing, I had to start from the very bottom. So all my accomplishments at SLU, NCAA tournament, all that stuff was out the window. So I started in second league Germany, not making very much money, and then from there moved up to the first league the next year. I'm still in Germany. Played for a team called Gießen. Then I moved to Ludwigsburg, also in Germany. My fourth year in Germany, yeah, and then I just moved to Italy this season. And right now I'm in Sardinia, a team called Dinamo Sassari, which has been a really good year so far.
Well, which leads me to what I'm sure a lot of people probably want to hear and what we started off with. You're in Italy. COVID-19 is dominating the world right now. In America, you're not here, but American news, first it was like, hey, this is something that started in China. Then we all started hearing like Italy is where it's at right now, and Italy's 2 or 3 weeks ahead of us, and they're completely on lockdown. So what is it like in Italy right now? Being under quarantine, is the police strictly enforcing that? Like what's it like right now in Italy?
We are on lockdown. Everyone is, confined to their homes except for going to the grocery store, to the pharmacy, things like that. So it's not like a military lockdown where the second you leave your house, the police are telling you to get back in. But I think if you're walking around not doing much, people will stop you. I don't know if they give you a ticket or just tell you need to go home. But they're doing everything they can to stop the spread of this virus.
So do you know anyone that has been affected by it? Teammates, friends, people that has gotten the virus over there?
No, thankfully, no one personally. I know there's been a couple guys playing overseas who've gotten it and obviously gotten over it. So I think that Italy, for sure, has done a really good job kind of containing it.
Awesome, man. That's good to hear. So what are you doing? I mean, what is your team telling you to do right now? Are they sending you workouts? What are they telling you to do? And are they expecting to resume the season at some point this year?
Well, we can't practice. We can't lift. Like I said, we can only go out for groceries and the pharmacy. So right now I'm watching YouTube videos, try to stay in shape. I got some bands and, different things to work out here. But really I'm just kind of waiting around for the next news. They want to resume the season, but only when it's safe. So we're kind of just waiting to hear.
Man, that's tough. I was going to lead me to my next question of what are you doing in your spare time, but I guess that's it. You're just kind of trying to stay busy. Hey, watch some old YouTube highlights of yourself, man. That always put a smile on your face.
Oh,
man.
yeah, I got the synergy going, so I'm watching every kind of clip. I'm watching freshman year SLU highlights, like everything.
Man, that's awesome, man. Well, hey, like I said, thank you for making the time and coming on, and I know I was super excited to get to catch up with you, and I know SLU fans are happy to hear from you, man. You're one of the all-time greats, and it was an honor to coach you. I did want to tell you something that I've never told you, man, and is I have 2 regrets as a coach. Number one, and I'll get into this later when I do my outro, but I remember I was coaching AAU. I had these 15-year-olds, and my couple of the dads, it was like 3 or 4 of the dads came over to me and was like, Marcus, you're being too nice on these kids. Like, you need to call them MFs and you need to get on them, and because that's what they're used to. That's how I talk to my kid, and that's what I do to get him inspired. I was like, man, I don't even really cuss like that. I'm not gonna start cussing at 15-year-olds, but whatever. So the next year when I coached 16U, I tried to change my style a little bit, try to get on them a little bit more, and I dropped a couple words. I wasn't MFing them or nothing, or call them B words, but dropping words I normally wouldn't. And looking back, I wish I wouldn't have changed for that. Number 2. And this is my other biggest regret. And I've made some mistakes coaching, but I learned from them. But my other regret is I was coaching you guys in the TBT tournament. And, man, we had you and Jordair and Mike McCall. We had some other guys. And we had this guy named Jared Newsom who basically played your position. And I felt like he was a little bit better three-point shooter than you. And I played him quite a bit more than I played you. And then after the game, and since then, that has weighed so heavy on my heart because I'm like, I know Dwayne is a killer, man. Like, you've been overlooked, like you're a 6'6" power forward, and they're like, man, maybe he can't do it. And just like I was like, well, maybe this guy's a better shooter. And I sat there and watched you dominate for years, and I still made the same mistake. And so, man, I wanted to publicly and personally tell you I messed up right there. But
I appreciate it, man. I was definitely salty after. I was like, that's all we lost, man. You go. But,
well, I'll take that loss, man. That was my bad. But I did want to tell you that. So anyway, man, thanks for coming on. Stay safe out there, man, and I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Talk to you
All right.
soon.
Peace.
See ya.
Thank you, Dwayne, for coming on. I really enjoyed talking to him and catching up with him as well. I hope you did as well. He's a great guy, and we wish him all the best and stay safe over there, obviously. But, as I normally give my closing comments, I want to stay attached to what we just talked about and some of my experiences with SLU. So I hope you guys still tune in. I only got about 3 or 4 more minutes, so stick with me right here. I really just want to give a shout out and give some thanks to some people. As I think about some of the best experiences that I've had in basketball in my career, and I have quite a few of them. I played 4 years in high school, 4 years in college, was the leading scorer all 4 years in college, and then played 12 years pro. So I've had a lot of good experiences. And if I had to list a top 5 off the top of my head, number 1 is my senior year. I hit a shot in the corner on senior night to win the Missouri Valley Conference regular season championship. So, it doesn't get much better than that, going out your last game on your home court and winning on a shot to win the conference. Number 2 would probably be my experience with the SLU guys when we beat NC State and came back down from, I believe it was 15 points with 5 minutes to go or something like that. And these guys just kept scrapping. And, it was just incredible to be a part of one of those miraculous comebacks. A 5-12 game. We were a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. That was incredible. I think number 3 would probably be my senior year when we did go to the NCAA tournament. Played against Kansas. I had 34 against them. Really, really good game. Had 18 points in the first 8 minutes. And after the game, Roy Williams said that I was the best guard that he played against that year, which means a lot coming from the head coach of Kansas and someone like Roy Williams. That meant a lot. I would like to place that higher, but we lost. And the other 2, 1 and 2, were wins, and I value winning. So number 4 would probably be my sophomore year. We played against Indiana in the preseason NIT at the Mecca in Madison Square Garden. I hit a shot with about 16 seconds to go to put us up 1 that I thought was going to be the winner for us to beat IU and go to the championship game and play against Duke. Unfortunately, they came down and hit a buzzer beater themselves and sent us home in the Final Four, and we lost by 1. But that was a great experience playing in the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, preseason NIT, IU. I'm from Indiana. That was just a great experience. And number 5 is a toss-up between some professional games I've had, but I would probably say maybe even the game with SLU VCU. Dwayne Evans and Jordan Jett in that class, their senior year. Shaka Smart and VCU had a lot of momentum. They were rolling, they were pressing, they were leading the nation in turnovers for us, and came into Chaffetz Arena. It was whiteout night. I mean, the place was rocking. High intensity, high level basketball game. We won that. And so, I had some really great experiences. So I want to thank those guys for giving me those experiences. I want to thank Coach Cruz for hiring me to even have to be on the staff to be able to do that. And some other people I learned a lot from. Kent Porterfield, who's a vice president at Saint Louis University. Bill Kaufman. Bill Kaufman was actually transitioning during that time. It was when Father Biondi left, and then Postello was coming in, and he was the interim president. These guys were obviously high-ranking people at SLU, and they treated me so well. I mean, they would sit down and talk to me. I'm not talking about in passing. I'm talking sit down, 20, 30-minute conversations. You know that old phrase where they say treat the CEO like the janitor and the janitor like the CEO? If you look at our men's basketball staff, I was pretty much at the level of a janitor. You had the head coach, you had 3 assistants, then you had the DOBO, the director of basketball operations, then you had the video coordinator and player personnel guy. I was the video coordinator, so I was at the bottom of the totem pole, and these guys did not make me feel that way. And it taught me a lot about my leadership now that I'm in a position of leadership, and I'm an executive director of the YMCA, and so how I treat everyone, I saw that in action from them. And so I want to thank you guys for embracing me and treating me that way and teaching me. Little did you know that you were giving me skills that would help me serve people one day. And so there's a lot of people I would just want to thank, even some of the boosters. David Wells, he was a great guy to me. Alan Voigt, I don't know if I think I'm saying his last name right. If I'm not saying it correctly, Alan, I'm sorry. But I stayed in touch with him. I formed some relationships there with some awesome people. And so I just want to say thank you guys. I know some people ask me sometimes, like, were you upset when you got fired from SLU? I wouldn't say upset. I understood. We came there to do a job. And the job was, A, to graduate players and turn them from boys to men and make them positive contributors to society. We did that. 8 out of 8 guys who came through during the time I was there all graduated. Another part of our job was to win games. And that first year, we won a lot of games, went to the NCAA tournament, lost in the second round in Louisville, A-10 championship. The next 2 years, we just didn't win enough games. And so I understand that a decision had to be made. I wish we would have had one more year, but hey, you know what I'm saying? That's how it goes. And I think I was more scared at the time, honestly, because 3 years before, I was working at Chick-fil-A as an operational director, making decent money, took a large pay cut to come to SLU as a video coordinator. I'm not complaining. I wanted the job. Like I was willing to take that pay cut. I wanted to be a college basketball coach. And so my family was a little bit nervous about moving up to St. Louis because we knew about, how college basketball works, that it's so fluid. You can get fired, you can get transitioned on and whatever, whether it's positive or negative. And so waited the first 2 years to see how things were going. They moved up. On that third year, they finally moved up. And sure enough, at the end of that year, we were fired. So I was a little bit nervous and I felt bad that I had brought my family there, but that wasn't their fault. We should have won more games. I would have liked to have one more year, but at the end of the day, I have nothing but fond memories of my time at SLU. So I thank you guys. I thank the administration for showing me love and for embracing me and staying in touch with me. It wasn't just fake. It's genuine because I still have relationships with those people. The seniors, these guys were grown men. They were seniors, 21, 22. I think Jake Barnett might have even been 23 years old that year. These guys were grown men. They were set in their ways. That's why they were good. So they didn't have to embrace an outsider like me. I hadn't been there the first 3 years, but they did. And I appreciate and love them for that. And so I just want to say thank you to you guys and appreciate the moment. Now that we realize that we don't have basketball and you can't just turn on a live game on TV, NBA or NCAA, it should make you appreciate the moment. So I appreciate these moments so much more that I have with these guys and the relationships that I can call Dwayne and he say, hey, yeah, whatever you need, Marcus, whatever you need, coach. That's what he's, you want to do a podcast? Sure, let's do it. And so I just thank you guys for that. Thank you for everybody that's been a part of my growth right there. So one of the things that Coach Majerus used to be so good at was teaching these guys, the specifics, the details. Like they would always tell me stories about when they ran the offense, he would say, be right here. If you were 6 inches off that mark, you were running. And so what is that? That's details. And greatness is in the details, guys. That's what I'm talking about. Please continue to like, subscribe, and share. Come back. We have some great things upcoming. We have some more. I have another college basketball coach coming in talking about what it was like to tell his team they won their conference tournament. They were going to the NCAA tournament. They knew it, and then it was taken away from them. What was that conversation like? I got Coach Lisa Stone, the women's basketball coach, coming up. Got some awesome people coming up, so please stick with me, guys. Like, subscribe, share, so you know when I drop a podcast. I think we're going to have a good time here, so have a great evening. Thanks a lot. Peace.